Hi everyone, this is Michelle from MaMi's Country Quilts. Welcome back to our virtual classroom. Today we are starting another project. This one is called Puzzled. It's another quilt designed by Mika and also using a format of new blocks that we're coming out with that have floating points, which is so exciting for us. This is an idea I've had floating around in my head for a long time, and we finally have come up with 9 blocks that we've taken the points and floated them away from the seam lines and other parts of the block. So if you look at the quilt here, you'll see that the points don't come into the seam, as well as the square in the center here is away from the seam. That's what I mean by floating. We're just reducing bulk and we're creating a nice, clean, crisp look for the block. So very exciting for us to introduce these new blocks to you today. So to get started with this new project, I'm just going to go over a few supplies that you will need. First of all, as usual, a 6 or an 8.5 inch by 24 inch ruler. The important part here is a 24 inch to do the squaring and the cutting of the long cuts, as well as a 12 or 15 inch square. Again, doesn't matter which one. And also, because we're cutting smaller pieces, quite a bit in this quilt, I used a lot my 6.5 inch square and also my 3.5 by 12.5 inch rectangle. So those, if you have those on hand, great. If you don't, they're not necessary. They're just less cumbersome than the bigger rulers. Also, we're going to be needing some paper clips and or binder clips. So binder clips is just these, and again are just our regular bigger plastic coated paper clips, just to keep our pieces together. And of course, plastic bags. We're going to need 2 sizes I used for this project. We'll need 9 sandwich size bags and 2 large. And then of course all your other quilting tools that we all have hanging around, your marking pens, pins, cutters, all that stuff. If you have it, great. We usually always have it close by when we're quilting, so as long as you have those regular things with you, you'll be fine. And as well, we're going to be using a tool for this class. So we've listed in the supply list 3 tools that can be used. You don't need all 3, you just need one of them. Some of these have been around for a while. One of them is the Fast to Sew tool. This is the one that I have. This one's kind of hard to get your hands on right now. It's been around for quite a while. The other one is called Seams So Easy, and it's in the form of a flower. I don't have that one at the moment. And the other one is Sew Straight Seam Guide, which we have in the store here. But for the video that we're doing today, I will be using the Fast to Sew, as that's the one that I have right now, or the ones are just on the way. So any one of those 3 will work for this. And the purpose of that tool is to eliminate drawing all the lines when we're doing our half square triangles. It's just a tool that we put on the bed of the machine, and it has a line that you follow to do your diagonal lines. It's faster, but it keeps you nice and straight. So it's either you mark all your lines or you use one of these tools, which I will show you how to use when we get to that point in the project. So from there, we're going to jump into cutting right off the top here. We're gonna start with our purple fabric. So in this quilt, we have 14 colors, 7 colors with 2 shades of each one. So we're going to be starting with the first pairing, which is the purple, dark purple, and light purple. Is it way here? And as we're going, I'm just going to show you how we organized ourselves to get through this project, and hopefully it will help you get through yours. So the first thing that we're going to do is grab our dark purple. And again, I have my fold at the bottom here. I've pressed all my fabrics already. Important to press, especially if you've come across a piece that has wrinkles in it or folds in it. If you don't press those out of your fabric, when you cut through that crease, it's going to make a jog in your piece. So very important to press your fabric before you start. So I'm going to use my square and my 24-inch long rectangle, and I'm using an 8.5. And this is just going to be to square my piece of fabric before I start cutting the strips. So I'm just running a straight line on my fold at the bottom here. Then I'm just going to butt my 8.5-inch ruler up against my square, then move my square away. And then I'm just going to square my fabric. So this little piece is just going to go down here. And then we're going to start cutting our strips. So the first cut that we need to make for the dark purple is 2 5-inch strips. So that means you're going to put your 5-inch line on the left side of your fabric. And again, I am making sure there's a straight line running on my fold at the bottom so that you're nice and square. And we need 2 of these, so we're going to cut. And again, I'm just inching my fingers up as I'm cutting so that my ruler doesn't sway to the left as I'm cutting. So that's 1. And I'm going to cut a second one. So typically how I did this project is I cut all my strips first, and then I did my sub-cutting after. So I'm going to cut 2 5-inch strips, and then I'm also going to cut 2 3 1/4. So your 3 1/4-inch line is on the left-hand side of your fabric. And of course, this is for a right-handed cutting. So if you're a lefty, then you have to do this the opposite of what I'm doing. Okay, so 3 1/4. Cut a second one. Okay, and then the last strip that we need is a 2.5. So 2.5-inch on the left-hand side of my fabric. Okay, so we have our strips cut. This is going to be an extra piece, so I'm just going to put this to the side. So again, those of you who have taken some of my classes know that I always keep my pieces together that are not used for the project. So my extra fabric, I keep in a bag labeled extra pieces for puzzled or for whatever quilt that you're doing. So it's just an in case. If we need to go back, if we make a mistake at some point, we have to recut a piece, we know that we have that piece with our project. We don't have to go try and find or match up a color. So we just keep that together with the project. Okay, so we cut our 5-inch strips first. I'm gonna start sub-cutting with those first. So I'm just gonna move these to the side. And so these ones, they're folded wrong sides together. So you have a couple options. You can keep them folded and cut through, but then you have to make sure that your right sides are up. So these cuts are all squares. There's no angle, so you can cut through the 2 strips at a time, which is what I'm going to do here. Your other option is to just open them up and stack them both right side up. So you can do either or for this. So again, we're just going to take a little squaring cut here so that our strip is nice and cut, because we're cutting lots of pieces off of here. So you're running a straight line on the bottom edge of your strip. Make sure your strips are nicely stacked together. So I'm just running a straight line on the bottom edge of my 5-inch strip. And I want to take about a half an inch off the end, which is going to eliminate the selvage. I'm just going to put that up, move my square away, and then I'm just going to cut that off. Okay, so the first thing that we need here is 5-inch pieces. So I'm just going, so just remember that we're cutting through 4 layers here. So I'm cutting 4 at a time. So I'm going to cut 5-inch by 5-inch square. Make sure you're nice and straight. And I'm just going to flip these right away. So the top one is right side up. The second one is wrong side up, so I'm going to put it right side up. The third one is right side up. And the fourth one is wrong side up. Flip it to right side. So that is going to be 4 of those. And then I'm just going to remove one strip, and we're going to open up this one to cut our 5th. So we're going to cut one more 5-inch piece. And now we're going to just get our bags. So at this point, you want to make sure you have 9 of these sandwich bags with you, and you're going to label them. So the 9 blocks that we're doing, and these are in the pattern, so you can go find the names in the pattern, but you're going to have your diamond Greek square, your diamond 4-patch, checkered shoe fly, floating shoe fly, diamond shoe fly, diamond star, Greek square, Greek geese formation, and spinning Ohio. So I just labeled a bag for each of the blocks that we're going to be making in this quilt. So I'm just going to put these up at the top. So I'm going to put my 2 Greeks together. I'll keep my shoe flies together. And then you got your other ones, which is your diamond star, diamond 4-patch, geese formation, and Ohio. So I'm just going to put these over here. So if you look on your pattern, it says 5, 5.5, or 5 by 5 inch. You need 5 of them. 4 are being used for the diamond 4-patch. So we're going to put that on that bag. And 1 is being used for the diamond star. I'm going to put that on that bag. So I'm just going to put it so that I can see my names. Okay, so then we're going to move on to the next cut. So I'm going to go back to cutting 2 at a time here. So I'm going to take the one that's still folded in half. And I'm just going to switch to my smaller ruler here. So we want 8 2 3/4 inch pieces. So I've got my 2 3/4 inch line on the left-hand side of my strip. And I'm cutting 2 at a time, so I'm going to cut 4. 4 times will give me 8 pieces. So that's 2. So 2 3/4. And you need 8 pieces. Okay, so the first one you can see is a little bit fatter. That's because I was cutting with my 1/2 inch on the right-hand side. So when you're using a half ruler, 6.5 inch ruler, make sure you're cutting your 1/2 inches on the left-hand side when you're not cutting a 1/2 inch cut. So I'm just going to go back here and fix this one. I cut bigger, so that was a good thing. So 2 3/4 is what I need here. Okay, so we have our 8. And again, I'm just going to make these all right side up. So the top one is right side up. The bottom one, we're going to flip to right side up. With batiks, it's not really noticeable. And some people won't bother doing this, and that's fine. That's a personal choice. If you're using traditional fabrics it's very obvious. So you have to make sure that you flip them the right side up. So these will go onto your geese formation bag. And then we're going to move on to the 3.5 by 3.5. So I'm going to just, this is still folded in half, but it's 5 inches. So I'm just going to cut this down to 3.5. So I'm going to grab my smaller rectangle. And this is a 3.5 inch ruler. So I'm just going to put the edge of my ruler on the edge of my fabric. Trim this down to 3.5. Then turn it around. And we're going to cut. We need 8 3.5, so we're going to get 1 for sure. So 3.5. So that's 2. And then if you look further down, we need 3.5 by 2, so we could probably get a 2 out of here. So we're going to take 2 inches by 3.5 inches. So we have 2 of those. We need 2 more of those. So I'm just going to put this down here. So I'll go back to the strip that I had here before. And I'm just going to go back to single here. So we need another 3.5, 2 more 3.5 by 2. So I'm just going to trim this down to a 3.5 again here. So we're just going to fold this in half. And I'm going to use the longer one. So we want 3.5 inch strip. So you put your 3.5 on the edge of the strip, left edge. So that's 3.5. Make sure you're nice and square. So then we're going to rotate this back across like this. And we're going to cut 3.5. We need 6 more of those. So that's 2 more. That's 4. That's 6. And that is 8. And we need 2 more at 3.5 by 2. So I'm just going to open this so I avoid this fold right here. And I'm going to cut. So that is 1. And 2. So this is going to go into my extra bag just in case I might need that if I make a mistake. So again, I'm just going to flip these to right side up. So that one is like that, and these 2 were right side up. So the top, and flip the bottom. Okay, and these guys. So we need 8 3.5 by 3.5, which we've got 2 piles of 4 here. We need 5 for our checkered shoe fly. So I'm just going to put 1 more in this pile. That's 5. So checkered shoe fly is right here. 1 is going into diamond shoe fly. 1 is going into spinning Ohio. And 1 is going into shoe fly. And then your 3.5 by 2 is going into Greek square, which is over here. Okay, so before we put those in the bags, we still have some strips to cut. So we're going to move on to 3.25 inch strips. We have 2 of those. So again, I'm just going to stack those up, one on top of the other. And I'm going to take a squaring cut to get rid of my selvage edge. So again, I'm just going to put a straight line on the bottom of my strip, butt up my longer ruler, and take the selvage off. Okay, so for 3 1/4, we need 24 3 1/4 inch strips. So put your 3 1/4 inch line on the left-hand side of your strip. So remember that we're cutting 4 at a time here. So that means we need 6 cuts. So this is going to be 3. 4. And 6. So 6 times 4 is 24. This is going to go into our extra bag. So now we need to flip these so that they're right side up. So we need to do that. So we need 8 for our spinning Ohio. So I'm just going to put 8 in this pile here right away. So this is going into spinning Ohio. Then we need 4 for our diamond shoe fly. That's over here. Then we need 4 for the Greek square. Which is over here. Then we need 4 for the checkered shoe fly. And we need 4 for the shoe fly, floating shoe fly. What's over here? So now we've got 1 strip left to cut for our dark. This is our 2 1/2 inch strip. We're just going to take a squaring cut off of there. So we're going to put a line on the bottom of the strip, move away our square, and take the selvage off. So we need 8 2 1/2 inch squares for this one. So 2 1/2 inch line is on the left side of your strip. And again, we're cutting 2 at a time. So we're going to cut 4 times. So important here to be really precise with your cutting. This is not like our regular paper piecing cutting where you have some wiggle room here. You don't have a lot. So when you're doing traditional piecing, cutting is the very first step to having an accurate quilt. So you have to make sure that you take the time to be accurate with your cutting. So that's going to be extra. So these guys are all going into your diamond star bag. So I'm just going to flip these all right side up. Put them into one pile of 8. The diamond star, which is up here. Okay, so now we're moving on to the light purple fabric. So again, you want to have your fold on the bottom. Make sure your creases are all out of your fabric. So first, we're just going to take a squaring cut. So again, I'm just going to grab my big square and my 24-inch ruler. So I'm just putting a straight line on my fold. And you just want to take a little bit off here so you don't need to cut off a lot. And just cut this off. And again, when we're using these longer rulers, you want to make sure you're inching your hand up so your ruler doesn't slip. Okay, so now we're ready to cut our strips. So for the light purple, we need 3 3.5-inch strips. So my 3.5-inch line is on the left-hand side of my fabric. Okay, so that's our third 3.5-inch strip. Now we need 2 3-inch strips. So your 3-inch line is on the left-hand side. Okay, and then we need 1 2 3/4-inch strip. So your 2 3/4-inch line is on the left-hand side of your fabric. And we need 2 2 1/4-inch strips. And always make sure you're nice and square at the bottom, like not just the edge here, because if you're going off at an angle, you're creating a bit of a bias in your strip. So if you have to retake a squaring cut, we have allowed you enough to do that. So we need 2 of these. So 2 2 1/4. All right, so we've got our strips cut. So now we're going to do our sub cutting. This is an extra piece that's going to go in our extra bag. So we're going to start with our 3.5-inch strips. So I'm going to bring down my smaller rulers. So I'm going to cut with 2 strips instead of the 3. I just find when I start cutting with more than 2 strips, my fabric tends to shift a little bit. So I'll just keep it to 2. Okay, so again, make sure your strips are nice and straight if you're stacking them. And again, you don't need to. You can open these up and cut one at a time. It's whatever you're comfortable doing. So straight line on the bottom. Take a squaring cut. And we need 33 3.5-inch strips. So you want your 3.5-inch line on the left-hand side of your strip. So we're cutting 4 at a time here. So we're going to cut 8 times. Three. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we still need a few more. So before we start cutting in this one, we're going to square it up. Okay, so we have 24 here right now. Now we're cutting by 2s. So it's going to be 28. That's 30. $32, and we'll have to open it up to get our 33. Okay, so for this one we need 8 for the diamond shoe fly. So I'm just going to put these right side up real quick. That's 4. So that's going to be 8. So that is going with our diamond shoe fly, which is right here. Then we need 5 for the Greek square. So we'll take a pile of 4. And our single one down here will make us 5. That's going on to the Greek square. And then we need 4 for the checkered shoe fly. Checkered shoe fly is right here. And then we need 8 for the shoe fly. So there's 4 here. So that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's for the shoe fly, which is right here. And then we need 8 for the spinning Ohio. All right, I only have 6 squares here, so I have to cut 2 more. So 3.5. And 3.5. Okay, so now we have 8 here, and that's for our spinning Ohio, which is down here. All right, so now we're moving on to our 3-inch strips. So again, we have 2 of those. These other pieces will go into our extra bag. So again, our selvage edges are on our left side. And this one, we're going to be cutting 3 inch by 3 inch. We need 28. So I'm just going to stack both of these up. And again, we're going to take a squaring cut. So we're cutting 4 at a time. So you want your 3 inch line, 3 by 3. So we need to do 7 cuts. Six. And 7. So that's just going to be, I'll put that down there. So for this one, we need 8 for the diamond 4 patch. I'm just going to flip these around. So this is going on diamond 4 patch, which is over here. And then we need 4 for the diamond star, so that's going to be 1 stack. And that's over here. And then we need 16 for the geese formation, which is what we have left here. Okay, so this is going on geese formation, so that's that. So now we're going to pull out our 2 3/4 inch strip. So again, selvage is on the left side. And we'll take a squaring cut. And for this one, we need 12 2 3/4 inch squares. So 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. So that's 2. Eight. 10. And 12. So this is just going to be extra. And these are all for the diamond star. So I'm just going to flip these so they're all right side up real quick. Okay, so that goes on to your stone, which is right. So now we have two 2¼ inch strips left to cut. So again, our selvage is on the left-hand side, and we're going to stack these up again to cut. So again, we're just going to take a squaring cut. And we need 28, 2¼ by 2¼ So again, we need 28, so that's 7 cups of grain. Three. Six, 7. So this is going to be extra. And we need 4 for the spinning Ohio. So that's going to be 1 stack. So that's going to go here. And then we need 4 for the diamond shoe fly. That's 1 stack as well. Diamond shoe fly is right there. And then we need 20 for the checkered shoe fly. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 4 is 20. So I'm just going to stack those up real quick. Okay, so these are all going onto your checkered shoe fly, which is right here. Okay, so we finished cutting for the purple colorway. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just pin these or clip these together so they're not floating around in your bag with all the other colors. So we're just going to, because the purples are going to be making one square. You'll never be sewing like an orange and a red or a purple together. It'll always be purple and purple together. So I'm just going to put those together like that and stick them. And again, you'll notice here that I've put the big piece of my clip on the right side of my fabric, because with the batiks, it's pretty hard to tell which one is right side up and which one is not. I'm going to put that in there. Then I'm just going to bring this down. Just going to stack these up. So again, the big part of my clip's on the right side. So this is just going to go all into checkered shoe fly. These ones are all your floating shoe fly. Your diamond shoe fly. Your diamond star. Your geese formation. And then your diamond full hash. Spinning Ohio. Right, so this is how we're going to proceed with the remainder of the colors. I am not going to do all the cutting in front of you just because it's just going to be too tedious. So I have gone ahead already and cut all of my strips and subcut all of my pieces. I'm just going to go over the bagging with you just to make sure that we get all the pieces in the right bags. So I'll be right back with that.